would love to know more about ulcers in horses and recommendations as far as detection, but also treatment methods, and then long-term maintenance for what Ryan is calling an ulcery horse. I think we've probably all known one of those.
I use a little bit different language. So he uses the word detection, and I would use diagnosis.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's something that your veterinarian does. There's only really one way to definitively diagnose gastric ulcers, and that is with an endoscope. So they stick the video scope through the nose down into the stomach, and they actually visualize them.
How does it go from the nose to the stomach? The nose goes to the lungs.
Well,
breathing.
you go through the sinus passages, and then when it comes to the throat area, instead of continuing into the respiratory passages, you slip down an opening and go into the esophagus.
And because the vet has the endoscope with the camera, they can see where they're going.
They can. They're driving it.
Oh,
a little.
I like it.
Yeah, it's quite cool. It's quite cool.
Very sciencey.
Yeah. Horses, though, don't like it as much, so they will be sedated
Fair.
for that. Yeah, and fasted. So it's not inexpensive, and it is a little bit invasive, so not everyone does it. The next method then is response to treatment.
Oh.
And again, there's only one FDA-approved medication for ulcers, and that's GastroGuard is the brand name. Omeprazole is the chemical name. And so you can give that, it's a prescription from your veterinarian. You give that, and then after a day or two, you see if your horse is better. And that would be what's called response to treatment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're kind of, by solving the problem, seeing if it corrects it, then you know
You're on the right track.
if it worked, it probably was the problem to begin with.
Yeah, and so if
Okay.
it worked, right, if it worked, you have to keep giving the GastroGuard because at least 14 days, 21 or 28 is more like it, but your veterinarian will tell you based on the severity of the ulcers. But in addition, there are some things that you need to do. So you need to sort of look at your whole feeding and management, turnout, exercise, show schedule plan and say, am I creating too much stress for my horse? Do I need to back off a little bit? Do I need to reduce the exercise a little bit while he heals? Am I feeding him correctly? Because remember, horses feed all day long. And in modern horse keeping, we might give them 2 huge meals like morning and night, and that's just not enough for their system, which is continuously producing acid in the stomach.
Oh, yeah.
So they need to swallow. The saliva is basic and it buffers the acid. They need food, forage, to also in that. Hay all the time. Small whole hay nuts are the, what did they say, ulcery horse?
Ulcery horse.
Small whole hay nuts are the ulcery horse's friend.
Okay.
Really, really like those. But keeping hay in front of a horse all the time is really the #1 thing you can do.
So with horses constantly producing stomach acid, that's not like people.
Not quite.
Yeah.
It's one of the differences between horses and humans.
And so
yeah.
that's why horses tend to be more ulcer prone when we feed them on a human sort of schedule.
When it's convenient for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the acid, their stomachs are made in 2 parts, and the acid that's accumulating sloshes around to parts that it shouldn't when there's not enough food coming through and using it up and neutralizing the acid.
Sure. So you talked about when you're treating a horse for ulcers, you can evaluate the situation and look for areas of stress. Are there ways, if you know your horse is going to be experiencing stress, that you can better help prepare them for that so that you don't end up, if you say, you know, you're going to be at a horse show for a long weekend or
Right.
something, and that's tough on your horse, is there stuff you can do to prepare in advance?
Yeah, so think, well, you know, put some thought into, am I doing the right thing? Do I need to bring a friend along? But also, the same company that makes the GastroGuard makes another FDA-approved product called UlcerGuard. So it's the same medication, omeprazole, but a different, lower amount. And you can give that as an ulcer preventative, which is nice. There's another thing you can do, so it's like a 3-pronged approach, which is you can have a supplement that has some proven ingredients in it to maintain stomach health on board all the time, and then ramp it up with the UlcerGuard for a show. And then if your horse does break through and has ulcers again because he's prone, and you maybe haven't fixed all your issues, then there's always the GastroGuard left.
Okay. And when you say supplement with proven ingredients, do you think Smart Gut Ultra, which was in the research study at the Clinical University, do you
Yeah,
think
that's the one I'm talking about.
The right sort of choice
Yeah,
for
I do.
a horse long
Because
term?
LSU and Dr. Frank Andrews did some research on that, and they presented it at AAP not last year, so not 2015, but 2014, and it was just really tremendous. Lots of significance with what they did.
I've heard
found.
really a positive response from a lot of veterinarians who were
Good.
impressed by the research
Good.
and excited to have an option for that ulcery horse
Yeah.
in terms of long-term maintenance and supporting a healthy stomach.
Yeah,
And so
just keeping the stomach healthy and happy, and just, yeah.